Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Knitting for Baby. Thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to knit this chunky style hat for adults. It's very easy to make. You can make it longer like this one here. It's just a matter of adding rows, or shorter like this one here that I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's get started and thank you for watching. Okay, following I'm going to show you how to knit this hat. This is the yarn that I used. It's called Mega Brush Chunky by Premier. I used exactly one skein, which is 109 yards, and I had enough to make a pom-pom. Now, this version here is short. For this hat, we only do a total of 39 rows, and then we begin to reduce. If you want to make it longer, like this hat here, you're going to do a total of 46 rows and then begin to reduce. You're going to cast on the same number of stitches, so the only difference is the number of rows that you do. So if you prefer a longer hat to where you can fold it, then do a total of 46 rows. If not, this is what I'm going to show you, where I only do 39 rows. Now, the yarn that I used to make this hat here, I love this one. It's Premier Color Fusion Chunky, and I used exactly one skein, so 109 yards. This is how much I had left, enough to make a small pom-pom. Okay, so let's get started and thank you for watching. Okay, to begin, I'll be using these 6mm circular knitting needles. I'm going to be using them as straight needles, so you can use straight needles as well, since we're going to work this hat in rows. So here, to begin, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cast on my stitches. But before I do that, I forgot to show you the yarn that I'm using. It's called Premier Yarns Mega Brushed Chunky Yarn. This is a number 5 bulky yarn. This is in the color, let's see, Napolitano. Okay, I think that's how you pronounce that. But anyways, here to begin, like I said, we're going to cast on our stitches. Now, the method that I'm going to show you how to cast on your stitches is the long tail cast on. You can use any method, it's the same thing. The important thing here is that we need to cast on a total of 67 stitches. Okay, so here to begin, we're going to wrap our yarn around both needles 20 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, now we have enough yarn here for 20 stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double it up. So that's enough now for 40 stitches. Double it up again. That's enough for 60 stitches. Now we need 67, so I'm going to add more. I think I'm going to do maybe half like this, so that should be enough for about 70, like this. Okay, now you can add more if you want, just to be safe. So now here we're going to make a slip knot. Now here's our long tail, and this is coming from the skein. So now insert both needles through this slip knot, and we're going to open our yarn like this. So just insert your finger, open it up, and we're going to go from left to right, and we're going to grab a loop. So go into this side, grab a loop. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to do this until I have 67 stitches. So I'll do this off camera and I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished casting on my stitches. I have 67 stitches here. So now we're going to pull one of the needles. So make sure that you hold on to your needle here so that your stitches don't come off. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to tie a little knot here at the end. This is all the yarn that I had left, so it was perfect. Now, we're going to begin here. The first stitch in this first row, I'm going to knit. But from here on, we're going to always slip the first stitch, and we are always going to purl the last stitch. To begin, I am going to knit the first stitch, then I am going to purl the next 2. 1, 2. Now the next 3 I'm going to knit. 1, 2, 3. The next 2 I'm going to purl. The next 3 I'm going to knit. 1, 2, 3. Now purl the next 2, knit the next 3, purl the next 2, and knit the next 3. This is all I'm going to do all the way to the end of the row. You're going to knit 3 and purl 2. So continue, and I will meet you at the end of this first row. Okay, I'm here at the end. This is my last stitch, so I'm going to purl. Remember, from here on, the last stitch, we are always going to purl. Now we're going to turn here. Now for the second row, we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. In the first row, we were doing 2 purls and then 3 knits. In this row, we're going to do 2 knits and then 3 purls. We want to keep the stitches facing in the same direction, so that's why we're going to do this. So the first stitch, we're going to slip like this. Now here, these are the last 3 stitches that I knit in the previous row. So in this row, the second row, I am going to purl these 3 stitches. The next 2 are the 2 that I purled on the first row. So in this row, I am going to knit. So purl 3, and knit 2. Purl 3, knit 2. Purl 3, knit 2. This is all I'm going to do for this second row, so continue and I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. This last stitch, we are always going to purl. And this is how I finished the second row. Now in the next row, we're going to do the opposite. So in this row, we purl 3 and then we knit 2. In this third row, we are going to purl 2 and knit 3. So slip the first stitch, purl 2, and knit 3. Purl 2, knit 3. Purl 2, and knit 3. This is all we're going to do for this third row, so continue and I'll meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I'm here at the end of this third row. To finish the last stitch, I'm going to purl. And this is how I finished the third row. So from here on, this is what we're going to do. You're just going to repeat the opposite of what you did on the previous row. So in this next row, we're going to purl 3 and knit 2. But remember that the first stitch, you always slip. So purl 3, knit 2. Purl 3, and knit 2. Purl 3, knit 2. Now this is all I'm going to do all the way to the end of this fourth row. So continue and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I'm here at the end of the fourth row. The last stitch, we always purl. This is how I finished the 4th row. Now for the 5th row, we're going to turn. From here on, this is all you're going to do. You're going to repeat the last 2 rows. So here to begin, we are always going to slip the first stitch. These 2 stitches, I am going to purl in this row. The next 3 stitches, I am going to knit. The next 2, purl. And the next 3, we're going to knit. Okay, so continue like this, alternating between 2 purls and 3 knits all the way to the end. Once you get here to the end, you are going to purl the last stitch, turn, slip the first stitch, and then you're going to repeat the pattern. As you can see, these are the knit stitches and these are the purls. So in the next row, you're going to purl 3 and then knit 2. I'm not exactly sure how many rows I'm going to do from here on, but continue watching and I will let you know exactly how many rows. So I'll meet you at the end of that row. Okay, I did a total of 39 rows and it's measuring about 20.5 centimeters, which is about 8 inches. Now, if you want to make it longer, you can, so that there is enough rows for you to fold. As it is, we won't be able to fold this hat. So if you prefer your hats where you fold, then go ahead and do more rows. So here, to do the last couple rows where we're going to close, we're going to turn here. So we're going to begin to reduce. So I'm going to remove this first stitch, and then I'm going to purl these 3 stitches together like this. Purl 3 and then knit 2 together. Purl 3 together and then knit 2 together. Purl 3 together and knit 2 together. This is all I'm going to do for the rest of the row, so continue like this and I will meet you at the end. Okay, I'm here at the end of this row reduction. The last stitch I'm going to purl. Now we're going to turn here and we're going to do one more row. So this first stitch I'm going to slip. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together, all the way to the end. So continue like this and I'll meet you there to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end. My last stitch I'm going to purl. Now I'm not going to reduce anymore. I have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 stitches. So I'm going to cut my yarn here. We're going to leave a pretty long tail. We're not going to use it all, but I like to leave a bit more. Now we're going to pass our yarn through this needle. Like I said, if you want to make it longer, you can. I plan to add a pom-pom here, so I want to have enough yarn to do that. Now we're going to remove these stitches, so just remove your stitches like this and pass them through your needle. And we're going to do this all the way to the end. Now continue and I'll meet you once this part here is done, where we have removed all of our stitches, to show you what we need to do next. Okay, I finished passing all of my stitches to my needle here, so now all I'm going to do here is just pull this part here really tight like this. Make sure you hold on to this loop here. Just pull, hold it. Now I'm going to pass my needle through this loop, so that creates a little knot here and it's nice and secure. So pull on this really tight to close the top of the hat, and there it is. Perfect. Now I like to go around one more time. So I'm just going to go around these last stitches here. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to close this part here. So now you're going to have to determine which is your right side. For me, this is going to be the right side, and this is the wrong side. So I'm going to seam it as it is. If you prefer this side, then you're going to have to turn it. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Now to close this part here, we have the very edge here. And right to the side, you see this bar right there for every row. So that's where I'm going to insert my needle. So I'm on the right, so I'm going to go here to the left and find the first row. So the first row is right there. See, this is the last row, so that would be the first row. So insert your needle there, and then find the corresponding row on this side, and do the same right along the very edge. Now go into the next row and do the same thing, and then into the next row on this side. Make sure that each row corresponds. So go down and do the same, like this. Now continue like this, just doing the same thing. And I'll meet you once this part here is done to show you our finished hat. Okay, I finished closing my hat, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull this so that my seam here closes nicely. So just pull this, and as you can see, it's closing. This is where it hasn't closed, so keep on pulling until it closes. Perfect. Now pull a little so this part here is not too tight. It's nice and loose. Perfect. Now we're going to close this part here. So just do a couple more stitches here so that these two sides join nicely. I think that's fine. Now I'm going to hide this remaining yarn here in the back. So I'm just going to go to this side right there. And just go in and out and hide my ends. Let's see. And then go back down. And I think that should be enough. I'm just going to cut my yarn here. And my hat is done. That's what it looks like. Perfect. Looks very nice, and I like the way that it fits on me. And there's the finished hat. Here's the top. Now I went ahead and made a pom-pom with the remaining yarn. So I used exactly one skein of this mega brushed yarn. It's a chunky yarn, so I used exactly, let's see how many yards, 109 yards. And this is all I had left. So I think this is a perfect project for this yarn. Now I think I'm going to make a matching cowl or a scarf with this last skein that I have. But that's what it should look like with the pom-pom on. You can leave the pom-pom out. Here to make the pom-pom, all I did was just wrap it around my fingers until I used up all of the yarn, and then it just tied it, and then just cut all around it to shape the pom-pom. And that's how I did my pom-pom. So now I'm going to attach it. I'm going to do this off camera, so I'll just leave a picture at the end of the hat so that you can see what it looks like. So here's the finished hat. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.